Okay, well, I wanted to talk a little bit about straight teeth, and specifically Invisalign treatment. Now, Invisalign is a discrete method to straighten teeth, but there's some misconceptions and some things I'd like to clear up. Now, most of the time, Invisalign is ideally for people that have it's braces their second time around. They've already had the lion's share of the work was completed. The extrusions and rotations were completed when they were a teenager, and as an adult, their teeth have moved just a little bit. Kind of the second go-around adult braces. Now, there is Invisalign Teen. There are other levels of Invisalign, but generally speaking, it's the perfect second go-round. Now, what exactly is Invisalign? Invisalign is a series of trays, we call them aligners, that progressively move teeth. And you can usually get 0.2 millimeters of movement per aligner. And so in order to get a full millimeter, you're going to need 5 aligners to get that kind of movement. But sometimes we need to do different things to certain teeth to move them out of the way, to allow other teeth to move. We might need to do some slenderizing, or we call it IPR, interproximal reduction. I'm just polishing in between the teeth in order to get the space for the teeth to move too. And the question is, why Invisalign? Well, Invisalign is for people who don't want the look of the brackets and wires. They don't want the discomfort of brackets and wires poking into their cheeks and things like that. Now, I do need to, and it's silly, I know that I have to explain this, that although it is marketed as invisible, I did have one patient point out that she could see it, and it wasn't invisible, that she could still see the aligners. And so I have to admit that, yes, it's not a Harry Potter invisibility cloak or anything over it. You can actually see the product, although conversationally it's very, very difficult to tell that there's anything there. So if you want to be technical, yes, it's not 100% invisible, but it is clear, and it's one of the most discreet methods of straightening your teeth. The process is, now we use a scanner, a digital scanner, to scan your teeth, and that is much more accurate than the GUI tray impression material method. It's also faster because we can get going to the end result, the fabrication of the trays much, much quicker. When Invisalign was first originated, we were taking impressions, but then they had to CAT scan these impressions to make digital models. Well, if we can just make digital models from the get-go, we can save a few steps and be more accurate. Fun fact, it was invented by a person who was wearing retainers that were clear trays, and he quit wearing his retainer for a bit. When he put it back on, he noticed his teeth moved back to where they needed to be, and he thought, well, what if we just did that from the get-go? Couldn't we develop something to plan it out in advance and just do progressive trays? And so found some computer nerds, and they came up with the correct process, and then there you go, Bob's your uncle, we've got Invisalign. That was using traditional methods at the time. Scanners didn't really exist, or they were in the beta stages so at that point. But now we can use Invisalign. Now, they are using Invisalign to do complete orthodontic treatment, but the average case is probably about 1 year to 18 months. It tends to be the average. I've had a few where the cases lasted upwards to 2.5 years. We do have Invisalign Express if you can do 10 aligners or fewer, and if each aligner is 2 weeks, you're looking at about 5 months. You'll get a slight price break, and now they even have an even bigger break. If you can do 5 aligners or less, it's even cheaper process. So, but you don't know what it's going to take, how long it's going to take your case, and how much it would cost until we've actually scanned the models and sent it to Invisalign and had them look at the computer and decide how many weeks, how many aligners it would take. So if anybody says, come on in, I'll tell you how long it'll be, they're guessing, until we take impressions, until the records appointment, and there is a fee for records, until we submit everything to Invisalign and then have them spit out what it would be, we don't really know how much time is involved. What's it made of? It is made up of a hardened resin acrylic from stereolithography that they are able to fabricate the trays. Now, the lab work, the lab cost is done all up front. So if you have 34 trays to use, they're going to make all 34 at once. I do like to let people know that Invisalign assumes it's not going to work 100% the first time, and that there's going to be a mid-course correction, just meaning that before the teeth were completely straight, we had to take new impressions and start over. Or not necessarily over, your teeth have already moved some, but we need to refine our treatment plan. So they assume it's going to happen at least once, maybe even twice within the treatment. And so I think people should be aware that there might be a little bit of more time involved than originally anticipated. It's not an exact science. Bodies don't move and heal and adapt the way that we think they should. Very, very comfortable and convenient. You take it out to brush your teeth, to eat your food. Put them back in. You want to wear them as much as possible. However, when they're in, do not drink coffee. Do not drink acidic drinks and such, because then you will soak your teeth in the acids. So pretty much the only snacking is drinks of water. So we have had people lose weight in the process of doing Invisalign. So you get a 2-for-1. You get straight teeth and a thinner face. How much does it cost is going to vary from person to person, length of time and all of that. So that's why a consultation before we start is very, very important. So if you are interested in Invisalign, you live in the Seattle area, we'd love to have you come on in and take a tour of our office, and we can answer any questions you've got. 206-241-5533.
Dr. Timmerman is known internationally with licenses in multiple states in the United States, plus Belgium and Dubai, for cosmetic, implant, and sleep dentistry, with fellowships in the International Congress for Oral Implantology and the Academy of General Dentistry, and a diplomate in the American Board of Dental Sleep Medicine. If you would like to become a patient of Dr. Timmerman or simply have questions, please go to our website, www.drtimmerman.com. That is www.drtimmerman.com. Or call us at 206-241-5533. Or you could email questions for an episode of a future podcast at thewholetoothpodcast@gmail.com.